Chapter 28. Lying in bed on Saturday morning, enjoying the luxury of not having to get up early, Jeremy had slept dreamlessly. But now his head was filled with the weekend ahead. What was going to happen? How would it happen? Did he really want it to happen? He had tried to focus on his scenes in Hamlet, but Eddie's face would spring up in front of his eyes. Jeremy knew in his heart that he had to go with these feelings no matter what. He would worry about everything else later. He got up and dressed in record time in an old t-shirt and jeans because he had decided to go to the theatre and get ready there as it was warmer. He had already packed his whole dale. A new one he had splashed out on for the occasion. Good luggage said a lot about a man. He had a fleeting memory of his mother standing at her front door with an old suitcase done up with strings and frayed on the leather corners. They were all going on holiday to Devon. He had had a little leather case as well, which he had filled with crayons and paper and his favourite toy cars. He could see his mother's face beaming at him as he climbed into the family Ford. His dad already at the wheel, studying an atlas of Great Britain and sucking on a boiled sweet. "They are for your journey," scolded his mother. "Your dad is dreadful, Jeremy. He eats all the sweets before we have even started the trip. Now come on, let's get going." Jeremy felt a pang of guilt as he shut his front door and set off for the theatre. God knows what his parents would make of him now. The front of the theatre was still locked as it was early, but Jeremy made his way round to the stage door and found that the cleaners were already in. "Hi, Alice. How's it going?" He waved to the girls on the stairs, scrubbing away. He squeezed past her and went on up to the dressing room. The familiar smells hit his nostrils as he ascended on high. Grease paint and sweat and cheap perfume, with the added touch of fried food. Lovely. Alice had already cleared up the dressing room, so Jeremy was able to shower and change at a leisurely pace. He dried his hair and regarded himself in the mirror. His hair had grown quite long, as he had intended for lettuce, and he liked the fact that it softened his voice. He was by no means handsome, but he was attractive, and his mother would always say to people, "He will grow into his face." He checked his overnight bag and squeezed in the bottle of very expensive aftershave he had brought himself for this weekend. A tingle ran down his spine, a tremor of nerves. Please make everything go well, he prayed. To no one in particular. It was hardly a matter for the dear Lord, he reminded himself. Just then he heard a shout from downstairs and recognized Eddie's voice. "Coming," he yelled, and took the stairs two at a time. Eddie was standing on the stage, in the stage doorway with the sun glinting on his immaculate cut hair. He looked like an angel to Jeremy. "Hi, Eddie, how are you?" Jeremy moved towards him, but stopped when he heard a wheezy voice comment. "Lovely morning, Mr. Jeremy. You're in early, aren't you?" "Gladys, gorgeous Gladys, good morning to you. Yes, I am up bright and early so I may show Mr. Graham here the wonders of our theatre before the horde arrives. Is that okay with you?" Jeremy gave his most brilliant smile, and Gladys grinned back. "Of course. You go ahead. Be careful when you go on stage, though, because the lights are not on yet." "Do you know where the workers are?" she asked. "Yes, I do. I can switch them on easily. Thanks, Gladys. Come on, Eddie. Follow me down to the land where magic is made." "Magic my ass!" Gladys commented under her breath as the two young men bounded off. By the time they arrived at the pass door, it was intended absolutely pitch black. Eddie grabbed Jeremy around the waist and pulled him towards him. "Not here," whispered Jeremy. "There may be someone from the crew here already. Just hang on." "Okay, grab my hand and follow me across the stage. I have got a surprise for you." Jeremy felt his way along the back wall of the stage and down to the corner, where there was a pass door leading out to the auditorium and the boxes. A door on the right opened to some steps winding around a corner to another door on which was written in gold embossed letters, "Royal Box." Jeremy gently pulled Eddie inside. "I thought this was appropriate for an aristocrat like you. I have often wondered just how many secret tirades must have taken place in here over the years." Eddie moved closer to Jeremy. "Are you suggesting a tirade right here, right now?" he murmured as they stood facing each other, breathing hard. Then very slowly, each started to undress the other. Not a word was spoken, and finally they faced each other completely naked. Their eyes had hardly left each other's. Jeremy wanted to scream with anticipation. He was shaking now. The two young men were standing nose to nose, but Jeremy was completely frozen like a statue. Eddie traced the lines of Jeremy's jaw with his thumb, and when he took his face in both hands and drew him into a kiss, Jeremy thought his head would explode. Colours whirled before his eyes and he struggled to catch his breath. He seemed to have been holding it for hours. Eddie pulled back just enough to give Jeremy some space, and then his tongue gently teased its way between his lips once again. Oh, so slowly. Eddie pursued, his probing becoming more insistent, demanding attention. Jeremy could feel his whole body pulsating with the passion he was feeling, this overwhelming need. Slowly, so slowly, he unfolded his whole being to Eddie's will and sank to the ground. Are you okay? Murmured Eddie, gently releasing his arm from underneath Jeremy's back. Oh, ouch, sorry, but my arm has gone to sleep. He giggled and sat up. We had better make a move, hadn't we, Jay? Someone is bound to be down soon. He reluctantly stood up and started to sort out his pile of clothing. Shit, yes, you're right. What am I thinking, lying here like an idiot? Jeremy pulled himself up to a sitting position and rubbed his face. He sighed. Oh my God, Eddie, I am in such a daze. I can hardly function. Help me. He looked up at Eddie, standing on the edge of the blue circle of light coming from the stage, and put out his hand. He couldn't see Eddie's face, and he felt a momentary slither of panic down his back. It was gone in a moment as Eddie pulled him to his feet and planted a big smack on his laps. Stop it, you. We must get out of here quickly. Jeremy pulled on the rest of his clothes just as a voice boomed out from the lighting gallery. Who's there? That's you, Eric? Jeremy recognized the voice of Will Black, the head carpenter. No, sorry, Will, it's me, Jeremy. I lost the bloody switch. I'm such an idiot. I was showing my friend round and couldn't find the switch for the working lights, but it is done now. He had managed to get to the back of the stage rather this time and find the switch. Everything okay with you, mate? Jeremy searched the darkness above them and then heard Will coming down the ladder at the side. He quickly improvised for Eddie. See, Eddie, this is where all the hard work is done. Will Black is the man who makes it all happen up there in the gods. Well, may I introduce Eddie Green? He is a friend who wanted to see how everything works backstage. Will Black shook Eddie's hand and slapped Jeremy on the back, saying, bloody actors are useless. Still, you do all right, matey. Nice to see you, Eddie. Now, if you'll excuse me, lads, I need to get on. He strolled off across the stage like a huge bear. God, he is enormous, whispered Eddie. Wouldn't want to bump into him on a dark night. Come on, you, said Jeremy. Let's get out of here, for goodness sake. They arrived at the stage door to find Gladys happily sat with her knitting and a huge mug of tea. Right, we will be off now then, Gladys, announced Jeremy. It was very interesting seeing everything on stage, added Eddie. Thank you for giving me a tour, Jeremy. Well, you have a nice weekend, won't you? Said Gladys. Going somewhere nice, are you boys? Jeremy gave her a second look to see if she was suggesting something else, but her face was inscrutable. Oh, just a trip to Manchester. Eddie's returning the favour by giving me a tour of the city. Lovely, dears. We'll see you later, and be good. The big woman could not resist a huge wink, which made Jeremy wince with embarrassment. Thanks, he stammered. Yes, right. Come on then, Eddie, let's go. Once they set down the road, they burst into a fit of giggles. She is a witch, I swear it, chuckled Jeremy. Will she tell everyone, do you think? Oh, who cares? We are not doing anything wrong, are we? Come on, let's get this weekend started. Eddie grabbed Jeremy's hand and pulled him up the street, wobbled a rendition of Doris Day singing, Once I Had a Secret Love. Chapter 29. Sally yawned and stretched, then sighed. She could hear Dora banging about in the kitchen, making coffee. God, I would have loved a cup, thought Sally. But that means facing my sister. It is too early for discussions of any sort, let alone family confrontations. Although, as she lay there this morning, Sally wondered if there was any point in bringing up the whole thing again. It was a fait accompli as far as Dora was concerned. Would it not be better if Sally just got on with her own life? And if that meant being less than open with her sister, so be it. She thought about home and her parents and how trusting and loving her childhood had been. Dora's too, for that matter. When had things changed? Why did they change? Sally loved her sister and would always love her, of course, but now there was a beat missing somehow, and she wasn't sure she could find her way back to how it was before. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door, and Dora's head appeared. Fancy a coffee, she said, and came into the room with coffee and toast. Wow, what a treat, Dora, thank you. To what do I owe this attention? Asked Sally, sitting up in bed. Dora looked contrite. I have behaved badly, I know, sis, but I honestly didn't mean to cause you grief. I just didn't think as usual, I suppose. No, you did not, and yes, it has upset me quite a lot, as a matter of fact. But I have decided to leave things be because, to be honest, Dora, there is too much going on in my life at the moment, and I don't want to fall out with you on top of everything else. But please do try and think about other people's feelings, and remember that you are here because of me. I know you're right, and I will try harder. But please understand, Sally, I'm serious about wanting to try a career as an actress, and hopefully that will not mean we are in competition. Sally caught a look in Dora's eyes. What was it? A challenge? What are you doing today apart from 2 shows, I mean, asked Sally. Only I was wondering if we should try and set up a rehearsal for my dumb show ASAP. And I have yet just remembered that Rupert and Isabel arrive sometime this weekend. Dora looked at it blankly. Who? Our stars. How could you forget? I think Giles wanted me to greet them and make sure they're okay. Mind you, I have got enough to do as usual with 2 hours, plus the get out and preparing for the big meet and greet on Monday morning. Can you help me at all, do you think? Sally gave her sister her best pleading look. Oh, well, I suppose so, but Simon has organised for us all to go to Manchester tonight to a club, and I have invited Mark up for the night, though it would be a nice surprise for you, actually. Mac? As in Mac McKinney? Muriel's Mac? Sally was stunned by this news. Whatever brought this on? She pressed. And what has Mac to do with me? Oh, come on, Sally. Don't pretend you didn't fancy him when you were in the summer. When you were there in the summer, I suggest he might like to come up and visit one day, and he seemed really chuffed to be asked. Dora disappeared into the other room, leaving Sally to gather up her thoughts. Mac here? She had to admit the idea was not unattractive to her, but she couldn't quite work out how Dora was involved in all this. She followed her sister into the kitchen. Did you see Mac then? I had gone? When I had gone, she asked. I didn't know you knew him that well. No, I didn't. I don't know him that well, but Muriel told me you had got on well, and I thought you have been a bit tense the last couple of weeks. It might do you good to see someone from home. Someone was organising his club thing, and it occurred to me that you might be someone to go with. Oh, for goodness sake, Sally. It is no big deal, just a bit of fun. Keep me happy and out of your way, you mean? Snapped Sally, suddenly feeling very manipulated again. I really do not need you to organise my life, Dora. Please stop. Fine, returned Dora. You are such a drama queen, Sally. It doesn't matter. You stay here and practice your little dumb show while the rest of us have a life. Blimey, even Jeremy has gone away this weekend, and good on him. Sally was suddenly reminded that indeed she really was on her own this weekend, as Jeremy was away finding true love. So there you go, Sally, Miss Goody Two Shoes, again trying to do the right thing. Well, sod it. She would at least have a heads up before Monday on what to expect from the new stars. Avoiding any more conversation with Dora, she got dressed and made her way to the theatre, just stopping at the corner shop for milk and biscuits and a bottle of wine for later. Come midnight they would be gagging for a drink. As she was crossing the square, she saw Peggy struggling with her weekend shopping and went to relieve her. Oh, bless you, darling, Peggy huffed and puffed. Bloody shopping always does my head in on a Saturday, but if I don't do it now, there will be nothing on Sunday lunch, and his lordship would be very cross indeed. Come on, let's have a coffee and bun before we shut ourselves away for the rest of the day. Sally followed Peggy across the tea room round the back of the memorial. You are so right, Peggy, she said, putting the bags on the floor and plonking herself down on a corner table. There is something about Saturdays that is really depressing because everybody else seems to be getting ready for a night out, and they are out and about shopping and having fun, and the likes of you and me are preparing to hide away in the dark until 10:30 tonight doing 2 shows. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love performing, but sometimes it would be lovely to have a normal weekend, wouldn't it? Peggy chuckled. There is nothing normal about this game, dearie. Now what are you going to have? Once they have ordered coffee and 2 cake, Peggy had a confession to make. I suppose you have noticed that young Sarah has been hanging about round Percy, haven't you? She said. Sally answered carefully. Yeah, well, yes, she does seem to be overly attentive, but I suppose that is normal in younger actresses. She's probably learning a good deal from Percy. Peggy snorted. She's taking the silly old fool for a ride, and I'm getting fed up with it. Listen, Sally, I have had to deal with this all my life with his lordship. Always young women and that is why I even tried to put a stop to it by spreading rumors that he likes the boys, but it never worked. Normally I turn a blind eye, but this one just won't give up, and I think that Percy might be going through a midlife crisis because he's besotted. I have to admit it is getting to me, Sally, and I don't know what to do. Peggy sniffed and held her paper serviette to her nose. Sally wanted to reach across the table and give the woman a big hug. Instead, she said gently, "Oh, now, Peggy, I think you are getting your knickers in a twist for nothing. I know she is pushy, that Sarah, but Percy is not a fool. He knows the score. Well, you would think so, wouldn't you, dearie? But there is no fool like an old fool." Peggy popped the last morsel of her Eccles cake in her mouth and chewed thoroughly. "What can I do?" she whispered. Sally was suddenly very angry with all the girls making waves. Well, two girls, Sarah and Dora, as it happened. "Do you want me to have a word?" she suggested. "I'm very happy to warn her off, and maybe we can turn her attention elsewhere. Who else can help her career?" "What about Robert?" He's another one who spends all his time playing games," said Peggy. "He's not to be trusted at all, dearie." Sally thought about Jeremy and his little secret and made a mental note to warn him to be careful. "Okay then," he said aloud. "I will deal with this, Peggy, and don't you worry, we will get Miss Sarah Kelly to see sense." When Sally got to the theatre, she was accosted by Heather, who was going mad trying to find one of the blonde wigs which had gone missing. If those boys have had it away as a joke, I will kill the little sods." She shook her finger at Sally. "Do you know anything about this?" "No, you daft thing," laughed Sally. "Give me a break, Heather. I haven't got enough on my plate. Do you know where Giles is by any chance?" "Yes, he's in his office, but he's with Lord Graham, so watch out." Sally made her way down to the front of the house and up the stairs to the Royal Circle where Giles' office was situated. She knocked on the door and waited. After a few moments, Giles himself opened the door. He seemed less than pleased to see her. "Yes," he barked. "I'm very busy, so if it isn't important, can you wait until later?" Sally heard the sound of someone clearing their throat, and a waft of cigar smoke curled round the door. "No, it is fine. I will come back later, but I do need instructions about the arrival of Rupert and Isabel." She turned and went away feeling very miffed. What on earth was the matter with everyone? They all seemed to have agendas that had nothing to do with getting the show on the road. She decided to seek out Sarah and give her a job to do. It might not ultimately help keep her away from Percy, but it would make Sally feel better. She found the young lady in the green room making coffee. Sally noted there were 2 mugs. "Hi, Sarah, are you busy?" she asked. Sarah stirred the coffee and smiled sweetly. "I was just going to take this to Percy, as a matter of fact." "Okay then, when you have done that, can you go down to the stage and help Heather find a lost wig? She's going mad." "Actually, I know where their wig is," answered Sarah. "I caught Simon wearing it after the show last night, so I took it off him and kept it in my dressing room." Sally was rather nonplussed. "Oh, right, good. Well, can you take it to Heather and then see if Janine needs help to start putting costumes in skips?" Sarah nodded and set off with her 2 cups of coffee. Sally couldn't resist calling after her. "I don't think you have time to drink that, Percy, do you? Best get a move on." The sounds of voices coming from the stage door reminded Sally that it was nearly time to get ready for the afternoon performance. She ran up to the dressing room and spent 5 minutes doing a warm-up for her voice. Suddenly she found she could forget all the petty ups and downs and focus on herself. She must not forget this was what she was here for, to learn to grow as an actress. She had a great deal to get through in the next 3 weeks, so no distraction. Her serenity was interrupted by the arrival of her sister. "Sally, look who is here!" yelled Dora, and stepped back to allow the surprised guest to enter the dressing room. "Hello, Sally," said Mac. Sally was dumbstruck. The room was full of this gorgeous, handsome man who was smiling at her and moving forward to give her a kiss on the cheek. "Mac, what a surprise! Oh my goodness, I'm gobsmacked. Why are you here?" The question was out before she could stop herself. "Charming," he laughed. "I am not quite sure how to respond to that." "No, sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. It is just such a surprise. Actually, Dora did mention it this morning, but I have been so busy it completely went out of my head. It is love to see you. Are you going to watch the show? Shall I get you a ticket?" Sally could feel herself wittering on and tried to pull herself together. Bloody Dora had done it again. but Max seemed to be taking all in his stride. Don't worry about me, he said. I will have a wander around the town and probably get something to eat, and then we can either meet between the shows or after. It is not a problem. I know you're very busy, so just do your thing and we will see what happens later. Thank you, Mac. Sally breathed a sigh of relief. I must say there is a lot to do, and Dora, you should have been here an hour ago. She turned attention to her wayward sister. She was not going to let her get away with this disruption. You had better get up to the wardrobe department a bit quick. Dora had the grace to do as she was told, and Sally left Mac wending his way back to the stage door. By the time she had changed and got her makeup on, she was exhausted. Thanks for listening.